Limpopo Premier promises change with over 300 jobs in road repair. Limpopo Premier Dr. Phophi Ramathuba has pledged to create over 300 permanent jobs for unemployed youth to maintain and repair roads across the province. Billed as the Dilo Di Changitse, meaning that things have changed, Ramathuba used the amapiano-inspired phrase as the official launch of a service delivery project called Dikgerekgere Wednesday, held at Ga-Mongalo village in Lephalale, Limpopo. The service delivery project is aimed at grading, re-graveling, and clearing roads across the province. The driving force behind the project is Tonny Rachoene, the newly appointed MEC of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure. Addressing the crowd, Ramathuba said during the door-to-door campaign for the 2024 national elections, residents have voiced their desire for services, including improvement of roads. Ramathuba said that through the project, they were acknowledging the significant road challenges across the province. According to the latest data on the status of our roads in the province, we have a total road network of 20,091 km with 6,263 km either tarred or paved roads, making up 32%, and 13,828 km of gravel roads, which is 68%, she said. She emphasized that there is a greater number of gravel roads compared to tarred or paved roads. The biggest problem is that those roads that are not tarred or paved are not being maintained. Hence, many residents in the province are always complaining about the roads. This initiative will ensure that our roads remain in good condition, free from potholes, and safe for all road users. She placed responsibility on the Limpopo Road Agency, RAL, which oversees the planning, designing, and maintenance of roads in the province. Ramathuba said that the agency had not adequately maintained and repaired the roads over the past years and urged it to commit to these tasks or face potential consequences. She announced that more than 300 permanent job opportunities will be created for unemployed youth across the province within the Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure. Road grading cannot be done because there are funerals and there's no alternative road to access to the cemetery. You are going to grade the roads each and every day. We are hiring you because we want you to go out there and grade the roads. She cautioned against nepotism or favoritism in the jobs that she said would be advertised on Friday, July 12th. I know you well, especially you, the public servants. I know there's a tendency of human resources to hire people from Vempe who work here in Lephalale and vice versa. Dilo Di Changitse. Things have changed. That practice will no longer be tolerated. Rachoene said that the service delivery program would involve re-graveling and grading roads across the province to ensure better access to services. I would have returned their money. Dr. Phophi says Minister Ga-Mongalo is excitable and is shaming artists. Cultural expert Dr. Phophi has expressed dissatisfaction with newly appointed Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Ga-Mongalo's publishing of a list of thousands of artists and industry stakeholders who were beneficiaries from government COVID-19 relief funds. Earlier this week, IOL reported that Mongalo had instructed his department to release the list after learning that artists were complaining about government not funding them. In an interview with broadcaster Newsroom Africa on Friday morning, the isiZulu lecturer at Howard University in the US said if he was a beneficiary, he would dump the money at the department's office in Pretoria. Firstly, if I were them, I would go and get all the money in cash, put it in a wheelbarrow, pull the wheelbarrow to Madiba Street in Pretoria and just put that money there on the doorsteps of the department and say, "Take it, you have insulted us enough," said Sithole. Today is 14 days before the biggest sporting event, which is the Olympics in Paris. If you were to ask South Africans how many sporting codes are represented in Paris and how many athletes are going there, no one would even know. If you ask, "Do you know whose name was published by this department?" each one would probably tell you not less than 10 people. That is basically the public narrative in South Africa by the department that should be focused on much bigger things than the list, he said. Sithole said the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture has the biggest mandate in democratic South Africa. It is supposed to unite South Africans. It is supposed to carry the heart and soul of this nation. It is supposed to advance this healing process that we have been embarking on since 30 years ago. It has now been reduced to Department of Publishing. It publishes lists of who got money, who didn't get money. That is how sad this situation is, he said. On Wednesday, IOL reported that BET award-winning songstress Makatsi, who recently opened up about a lack of support from government for her recent trip to the US, begged over 230,000 rand in performance fees from the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture in the past 14 months. This was revealed by the Sports Department after Mackenzie ordered that artists, sports and stars, and creatives who received funding from the department be named publicly with the reasons and the amount thereof. Makatsi was the first artist to be named on Tuesday night. Sithole said by publishing the names, Mackenzie was making a mockery of people who, during very difficult circumstances of COVID-19, were approached by government with aid. If you ask this minister, in the week or so that you have been here, what have you done? He would say he rolled up his sleeves, hit the ground running by publishing the list. Is it a list of criminals? What did they do, these artists? Did they do anything wrong? He has shamed artists. That is why I was saying, if I were them, I would take this money and say, "Have it. It's yours. You have shamed us enough," said Sithole. The academic said President Cyril Ramaphosa has made a grave mistake by appointing Mackenzie to this critical department. I hope President Ramaphosa will realize he has made a grave mistake by appointing someone who is easily excitable and loses this transformation trajectory that we are talking about, said Sithole. He said the minister should instead be familiarizing himself with his department and its vast mandate. Meanwhile, Phophi hits back at detractors over his appointment to JSC. Dr. John Phophi has hit back at detractors following his appointment to the Judicial Service Commission this week. Phophi, the first judge to be removed from the National Assembly bench after he was found guilty of gross misconduct and a member of Jacob Zuma's Umkhonto Wesizwe MK party, was appointed to the role amid mass criticism from various sectors and political parties. In a lengthy statement issued on Friday, Phophi told naysayers that he was ready to take them on. Regarding the threats of a lawsuit to have me removed from the JSC, I say to them, "Bring it on," Phophi said. Responding to Freedom Under Law's declaration to legally changes his appointment, Phophi said he was not surprised. "Throughout my long judicial career, I was singled out, targeted, and became an object of venomous racist hatred by white supremacist NGOs such as Freedom Under Law. I was appointed to head the Western Cape Judicial Division, the most pro-apartheid and untransformed bench in our country for over a period of 20 years. As both an academic and a jurist, my uncompromising views on transformation and decolonization of our jurisprudence and legal institutions were a matter of public record and did attract retaliatory response from racist and other anti-transformation elements within our society. In this context, the campaign to have me removed as a judge surely has its genesis in the anti-African, anti-transformation, white supremacist views of my detractors. The physical impingement and deliberate flouting of legal processes has done more permanent and long-lasting damage to our judicial system than anything I could have done in my years of service as a judicial officer. It is indeed ironic that when the enemies of transformation came gunning for me, they received the most solid support from the ruling ANC of Ramaphosa, which has hitherto only paid lip service to black liberation and transformation. The ANC allowed itself to be hijacked and weaponized as an instrument of black oppression under the guise of rule of law. Fortunately, he added that there were African National Congress members in the parliament with sufficient integrity and backbone who do not pay allegiance to white supremacy and capture. He likened the Colby, his detractors, to abuse long denounced by the British Parliament in 1774. He said the Democratic Alliance objected to his appointment to the JSC on the spurious grounds that the EFF and MK wished to tear down the independent judiciary which the DA works to protect. Phophi said in the DA's lunatic ruminations, certain parties can be disqualified from serving on committees of parliament based solely on a caricature of their ideologies by their opponents. The Section 19 Constitution rights of their voters means nothing to these folks who have utter contempt for the rights of black people. The DA was emboldened by its capture of a segment of the sellout leadership of the ANC of Ramaphosa and is now laboring under the delusion that it can wipe out the rights of the MK party and the EFF with a stroke of a pen. The DA makes further hogwash statements that while it is the prerogative of political parties to nominate persons to serve on the JSC, it cannot stand that a person is allowed to serve on the same body that found him guilty of gross misconduct while he was a judge, resulting in his impeachment. This is a naked attempt to introduce additional qualifications of members of the parliament that are not found anywhere in the text of the Constitution, namely that a judge previously impeached by parliament may not serve on the JSC as a MP, even if he is properly elected by the citizens to serve. There is no basis for the DA's nonsensical theories, he said. Phophi issued a word of warning to those who have underestimated him. For over 29 of service in judiciary, I was prevented by judicial ethics from responding publicly to the slanderous, false and outrageous lies circulated by these arrogant propagandists of the apartheid legal culture, now masquerading as champions of our constitutional order, whose only asset is their race rather the forensic abilities of the decent and fair commentary on issues relating to me. I could not respond when fabricated lies were widely circulated about me with reckless abandon. I shall serve on the JSC because I intended to ensure that judges appointed to the bench are free from the colonial logic of apartheid apologists like Kriegler and Chachalia. I intend to promote judges who are keen to get out of these prisons of apartheid proponents. I will conduct my duties to the people of South Africa with absolute integrity, absolute fealty to the Constitution, and without fear or favor. I'm now free from the shackles of the judicial lockjaw, and I stand ready to deal directly, thoroughly and effectively with these proponents and beneficiaries of the apartheid legal system who now parade themselves as proponents of constitutionalism when in fact they hearken to control our legal system so that it remains trapped in the colonial legal culture which they are comfortable with. I intend to promote the appointment of judges who are independent, impartial, and fearless, and can stand the demands of our constitutional times rather than those who are ruled by apartheid legal presidents and cow to raving bullies like Kriegler. All that I will demand is that judges who are appointed to serve on our judiciary are persons prepared to fight for a transformed legal culture that champions and values our freedom, he said. And that's it from Injibs Netwok. Stay tuned to our celebrity and gossip news.